after there's going to be a cleanup, of course, after the program, and I just want to remind anybody who is here and can help us to remain behind with that, please, to help to clean up. Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan rasulullah. Amma fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum once again. Alhamdulillah. We are now in the fifth session of this program, which is about the last session. And as you are aware, we've already run out of time. We're running out of time, and then we need to start as soon as possible. My sincere gratitude goes to Almighty Allah for having given us this opportunity once again. We were to be here earlier than this, somewhere last 2-3 years, because of COVID, we were not able to make it. But Alhamdulillah, we are able to be with you. My sincere greetings also goes to our beloved Huzur for having given us the opportunity and permission to be with our brother South Africans. It is a blessing to have this opportunity granted. Lastly, I would say thanks goes to the organizers of this program. I've seen that it's well organized so far, and I think it's going to end soon, especially to our MAULVI, which we call MAULVI, you call Murabi, Mansoor, who is the president of South Africa, Amir as well, for having seen me weight of hosting this program. He is very aware that back home in Ghana, it will be a tall list for me to hold a Jalsa program, national Jalsa program. He knows it very well, just as our minister is aware. We have a tall list. It's not that easy to become a chairman of a program in Ghana. Looking at the numbers, I'm most grateful to all. Without wasting much time, we have to kickstart the program. As usual, the tradition of the Jamaat, we never start a program, no matter how small it is, without recitation of the Holy Qur'an. On this note, we call on FUAD Davis Sahib of West Cape, Jamaat, to recite a portion of the Holy Qur'an.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أفمن شرح الله صدره للإسلام فهو على نور من ربه فويل للقاسية قلوبهم من ذكر الله أولئك في ضلال مبين. الله نزل أحسن الحديث كتابا متشابها مثاني تقشعر منه جلود الذين يخشون ربهم ثم تلين جلودهم وقلوبهم إلى ذكر الله ذلك هدى الله يهدي به من يشاء ومن يضلل الله فما له من هاد فمن يتقي بوجهه سوء العذاب يوم القيامة وقيل للظالمين ذوقوا ما كنتم تكسبون كذب الذين قبلهم فأتاهم العذاب من حيث لا يشعرون فأذاقهم الله الخزي في الحياة الدنيا ولعذاب الآخرة أكبر لو كانوا يعلمون ولقد ضرب للناس في هذا القرآن من كل مثل لعلهم يتذكرون قرآنا عربيا غير ذي عوج لعلهم يتقون صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakumullah. MashaAllah. Thank you very much for the nice melody. We're calling on Dr. SADIQ Sahib to give us the English translation. Sahib ABIOLA. MashaAllah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi.
This translation of the Quranic verse is recited goes thus. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the merciful. Is he then whose bosom Allah has opened for the acceptance of Islam, so that it possesses a light from his Lord, like him who is groping in the darkness of disbelief? Woe then to those whose hearts are hardened against the remembrance of Allah. They are in manifest error. Allah has sent down the best message in the form of a book, whose verses are mutually supporting and repeated in diverse forms, at which do creep the skins of those who fear their Lord. Then their skins and their hearts soften to the remembrance of Allah. Such is the guidance of Allah. He guides therewith whom He pleases, and he whom Allah adjusts astray, he shall have no guide. Is he then who has nothing but his own face to protect him from the evil punishment of the day of resurrection, like him who is secure? And it will be said to the wrongdoers, taste ye what you used to earn. Those who were before them rejected our messengers, so the punishment came upon them, whence they knew not. So Allah made them taste humiliation in the present life, and the punishment of the hereafter will certainly be greater, if they but knew. And indeed, we have set forth to men all kinds of parables in this Quran, and that they may take heed. And we have revealed the Quran in Arabic, wherein there is no deviation from rectitude, that they may become righteous. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakumullah, mashallah. Thank you very much. Yes, we make progress. We now move to a Qaseedah, Arabic poem, written by our promised Messiah. And we call on EMERAAN, ABDULATIEF Sahib of Cape Town, SADIQ Jamaat.
Assalamu alaikum. قصيدة في مدح الصحابة رضوان الله عليهم أجمعين. إن الصحابة كلهم كذكائي قد نوروا وجه الورى بضيائي تركوا أقاربهم وحب عيالهم جاءوا رسول الله كالفقراء ذبحوا وما خافوا الورى من صدقهم بل آثروا الرحمن عند بلائي تحت السيوف تشهدوا لخلوصهم شهدوا بصدق القلب في الإملاء حضروا المواطن كلها من صدقهم حفدوا لها في حرة رجلاء الصالحون الخاشعون لربهم البائتون بذكره وبكائه قوم كرام لا نفرق بينهم كانوا لغير الرسل كالأعضاء ما كان طعن الناس فيهم صادقا بل حشنة نشأت من الأهواء إني أرى صحب الرسول جميعهم عند المليك بعزة قعساء تبح الرسول برحله وثوائي صاروا بصبر حبيبهم كعفائي نهضوا لنصر نبينا بوفاء عند الضلال وفتنة صماء وتخيروا لله كل مصيبة وتهللوا بالقتل والإجلاء أنوارهم فاقت بيان مبين يسود منها وجه ذي الشحناء فانظر إلى خدماتهم وثباتهم وداعي العدا في غصة وصلاء
جزاكم الله الله أكبر صلى الله عليه وسلم. Yes, thank you very much. Jazakumullah. We call on ILYAS Sahib of Western Cape Secure Jamaat to give us the English translation. ILYAS PIETERSEN.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In praise of the companions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, written by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, Thomas Ismail, and Mahdi alayhi salam. Translation. All the companions are like the sun. They illuminated the world with their light. They left their relatives and beloved children, and came like one who is destitute to the message of Allah. They faced slaughter without fear. Such was their sincerity. They gave preference to the gracious God, even at the time of trial. They recited the Shahada, despite the sword bearing down on their necks. Such was their sincerity. They showed the utmost loyalty in public, even amongst the chiefs of the enemies. They presented themselves for every battle. Such was their sincerity. They hastened forth, even if they had to cross the wilderness. They were righteous and humble before their Lord. They spent their nights remembering Allah and crying before Him. They were noble people who did not differentiate between them. They were like the limbs of the best of messengers. People speaking ill of them is not just. It is rancor, which is born out of the low desires. When I observe the companions of the Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I realize that all of them have been favored by Allah with permanent honor. They followed the Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wherever he traveled and wherever he dwelled. They became like dust in the beloved's path. They rose up to help our Prophet faithfully at a time when misguidance and rebellion were rampant. For the sake of Allah, they faced every calamity. They smiled in the face of death and exile. Their light is more manifest than clearest statement. The intensity of the light burns the faces of the spiteful. Look at their services and steadfastness, and leave the enemy alone in his pain and anguish. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen.
MashaAllah. Jazakumullah. Ilyas. We'll move on to our 11th speech of this program. We have Huju Sahib, who is to give us a speech on the universal message of peace and security in the Holy Quran. The speaker is not new to this stage. This is about the 5th or 4th he's climbing up this stage since this program started. I think you know him very well, and I hope he will do justice to this program with the limited time provided.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. The topic of the speech, as Mr. Chairman already introduced, the Holy Quran, universal message of peace and security. I begin with the words of leading the flag bearer of the world, peace, in this era, Hazrat Mirza Mansoor Ahmad, Khalifatul Masih V, may Allah be his helper, the supreme head of the worldwide Ahmadiyya Muslim community. He says, development of peace is a major issue in the world of today. Fear and disorder is found all around us. Armament and ways of destruction are common. People are enemies of other people everywhere. Stronger powers are inflicting atrocities on those weaker than themselves. Terrorism being carried out in the name of stopping terrorism. The media is also playing a major role in spreading fear and disruption. For the Muslims, there is only one way out of this situation: that they stop defaming the name of Islam through their actions, should embrace the true teachings of Islam and become united amongst themselves. Other nations are also better off by embracing Islam because the world peace is affiliated with Islam alone. In the weekly Badri Qadian, 19 to 26 December 2023. The Holy Quran, the only solution to the problems. Following the above statements, I would like to state if the current challenges of the world were to be described in one sentence, the fundamental issue is lack of peace. And on top of this, all efforts to resolve the issue have failed already. The League of Nations failed, and now the United Nations appears to be failing too. All humanity is pondering that when, where, and how will they be able to achieve peace. All those who are sincere in this effort, please listen carefully. I repeat, all those who are sincere in this effort, please listen carefully. If at all the whole world can actually achieve peace, it can do so only through the teachings of Quran. Quran is that holy word of Almighty Allah, which has been revealed to us by the most gracious, ever merciful God. Divinely revealed the scriptures before the Quran did contain a lot of useful guidance for mankind, but its duration and area of application was limited. On the other hand, Quran is comprehensive and complete legislation that is relevant for all times to come about. This Almighty Allah has himself mentioned. There's come to you indeed from Allah a light and a clear book. Thereby does Allah guide those who seek his pleasure on the path of peace, and leads them out of every kind of darkness into light by his will, and guides them to the right path. This is chapter 5, verse 16. And we have sent down to thee the book to explain every and guidance and the mercy and the glad tidings to those who submit to God. Surah An-Nahl, which is chapter 16, verse 90. Oh my Lord, the book is the whole universe, which provides all that is of any necessity at all. A glimpse on the noble life of the Holy Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet ﷺ says, the essence of my religion is that Quran is complete in its teachings and adhere no true knowledge that it's not encompassed within the teachings. Al-Haq Mubahasa, Yudiana, Yohan Kazain, volume 4, page 80. On one hand, Quran has the teachings that can promote world peace, and on the other, practical and excellent implementation of these teachings has been established in the person of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah the Almighty says, verily, you have in the Prophet of Allah an excellent model for him who fears Allah in the last day and who remembers Allah much. Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam not only introduced the Quranic principles to the world, this being his fundamental duty, but his whole life was excellent example and explaining in the living teachings. Once a companion asked Hazrat Aisha radhiyallahu anha to describe the character of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Her response was as comprehensive as it was magnanimous. She said, every aspect of his life was a living example of the Quranic principles. Isnad Ahmad bin Hanbal, hadith number 23460. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam personal life was such a beautiful example of the Quranic teachings that it becomes the best explanation of how to implement the teachings. All his noble life is a witness to the fact that the champion's peace throughout and despite all odds and challenges, he proved that peace can only be established in the world by following Quranic teachings. Both phases of his life, Mecca and Medina, are full of examples as how he turned his followers into champions of peace, fulfilling the conditions. Treatise is another area where this truthful and trustworthy Prophet ﷺ has set examples that cannot be matched. Once the treaty of Hafuz was agreed, he put himself at risk and went to his arch enemy for the sake of the rights of a poor man. The time of Hudaybiyah, he followed the principles of the treaty even before they had been fulfilled, they had been fully compiled, thus establishing another milestone of trust. An interesting historic fact is that through enemies of the Holy Prophet ﷺ have many at a time sarcastically dealt with aspects of his life, but not even once have they been able to say that he did not fulfill his promise. The most precise recite. The biggest problem with the current state of the world is lack of recognition of God and his guidance. Lack of belief in ever living God is the root cause of all problems. Until we can establish complete faith in existence of God and our relationship with God, both at individual level and society, we cannot fulfill the aim of having peace in the world. Without these foremost of the principles, the world will remain lost in the darkness of chaos and misery. The only precise and definitive solution to the current world problems is to restore our relationship with God and submit to his guidance. One of God's attributes is As-Salam, and he says, giving these glad tidings to mankind. And Allah calls to the abode of peace and guides whom he pleases to the straight path. Chapter 10, verse 26. Allah calls you to come to him and to be sure that he calls to peace. So come to him and enrich yourselves with these blessings from him. Hazrat Khalifatul Masih IV, Radhalan An said, there can be no peace without Allah the Almighty. This is the secret. Without knowing it, there can be no contentment for any individual, nor can there be any assurance of peace in society. There's no other way of leads to the real peace and contentment. This is the fallacy and the sheer ignorance that man can survive without Allah the Almighty. If there is no place for God, then there is no peace and recognition of this. In fact, the peak of all wisdom, Islam's response to contemporary issues, page 313 to 14. The noble tree of peace, the journey towards peace begins with an individual. Its first seed is actually sown in the heart of each individual. When it grows in the individual, his family begins to experience peace. From the family, the benefits then grow to society. Once a nation achieves peace, this can contribute to the international peace. This is not just a theoretical concept, but is such a fact that manifests in the whole world. Every step of the journey has been dealt with comprehensively in the Holy Quran. Along with the mention of the foremost principle, the Quran described the journey towards peace starts from family life. To make a home a living example of heavenly peace, Quran has given some very detailed teachings. Husband and wife have been described as coverings for each other. They are a garment for you, and you are a garment for them. Chapter 2, verse 188. Where men have been declared as holding responsibility and control, it's also instruct and to be gentle in your dealings with your women. Chapter 4, verse 20. The rights and the responsibility of both have been described as, and they, women, have the rights similar to those of men. Over them equity. Chapter 2, verse 229. Islam teaches the parents too to respect their children and also pray for them whilst they make effort to their moral development. Ibn Majah, Kitabul Adab, chapter Birrul Walid wal Ihsan. And at the same time, children are taught to show kindness to their parents and to continue to pray for them and to lower to them the wing of humility out tenderness. And say, my Lord, have mercy on them, even as they nourished me when I was a little child. It's Bani Israel, which is chapter 17, verse 25. Out of the family, be kind in your dealings with the relatives, present amicable interaction with the neighbors. And then the teachings of respect and warmth for all members of the society. All these teachings lay foundation for development of peace, that the true Muslim is one from whose words and hands others are at peace, that no hurting or damage is done to anyone from one's speech or actions. These teachings make no distinction between Muslims or non-Muslims or color or creed. The society built up on these foundations goes on to develop into national security and peace. And consequently, if all countries of the world go beyond their vested interest and unite on these teachings of Quran, it can certainly be said that the world peace would become inevitable. Removal of the hindrances and obstacles. One major obstacle in the way of achieving peace is the racial discrimination and an attitude of arrogance amongst the nations of the world. O mankind, we have created you from a male and a female, and we have made you into tribes and sub-tribes, that you may recognize one another. Verily, the most honorable among you in the sight of Allah is he who is the most righteous among you. Surely Allah knows, Allah is all-knowing, aware. Surely Allah is all-knowing, all-aware. This is chapter 49, verse 14. This verse mentions a golden principle that ever is ahead in righteousness is the one honorable in the sight of Allah. Variations in the tribes and nations is only a way to help to recognize people amongst themselves. To allow arrogance about one's ethnicity or consider others inferior create just hatred and divisions, which in turn shatters international peace. Another weakness that has contributed to the destructions of peace is lying. This has become very common at all levels, result being that people and the nations have lost any mutual trust. Hypocrisy and deception are so common in society that the powerful nations make the poorer nations their virtual slaves by adding certain conditions while offering them help. This moral weakness has been utterly destructive for the world peace. Allah Almighty says, "O ye who believe, fear Allah and say the right words." This is chapter 33, verse 71, Surah Al-Ahzab. One other problem that has made the fabric of society low is the assure-based economic system. A needy person borrows on interest out of necessity and then gets entangled in ever-increasing monetary tightness. The same is true of a country in need. Instead of adequate adjustment to their lifestyle needs, they tend to borrow on interest, and the result is never-ending economic slavery of the lenders. The Quran admonishes to always abstain from usury and interest, because this leads to disruption of peace at all levels. Domestic, national, international, Quran says, those devour interest do not rise except as rises one whom Satan has smitten with insanity. Chapter 2, verse 176. Tendency to insult other religions and the followers. This has led to religious extremism and terrorism in the present era. This has widespread so much that many countries of the world suffer from its dangers, and there is hardly a country that could claim to be completely safe from its effects. The Quran once again has strongly condemned this trend and teaches that every must respect others' religion, respect others' religious feelings, and abstain from any act that can lead to react, agitation, or violence. Freedom needs to be exercised within the boundaries of responsibility and caution. The Quran admonishes those who spread disorder, saying, "And create not disorder in the earth after it has been set in order." Chapter 7, verse 57. Tolerance in the matters of religion. Quran stands up for freedom and tolerance in the matters of religion. This is mentioned in the Quran very clearly. There should be no compulsion in religion. Surely right has become distinct from wrong. Chapter 2, verse 257. The argument is beautifully presented that there is no need to force people in the matters of religion, as the right and wrong are evidently clear by the virtue of truth. Absolute justice in our current times, the whole world has become a global village due to the modern means of communication. It is thus even more important to establish godly relationships and international level. The Holy Quran has based the integrity of international relations and on the principle of absolute justice. It says, "O ye who believe, be steadfast in the cause of Allah, bearing witness in equity, and let not the people's enmity incite you to act otherwise than with justice. Be always just, that is nearer to the righteousness, and fear Allah. Surely Allah is aware of what you do." Chapter 5, verse 9. These principles hold a key position in establishment of international peace. If all nations hold on to these principles all times, all their differences can disintegrate very quickly. Today, our world needs not just a united nation in the international dealings. Without absolute justice, one cannot comprehend world peace. I'd like to conclude my presentation with the blessed word of the current spiritual leader of the world, the flag bearer and the champion of the world peace, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, Khalifatul Masih V, may Allah be his helper. He says, today the most important and urgent need of the world is that world peace is established and we recognize our God. It is important need of this time that all nations put their attention towards this, otherwise the world stands at the brink of an unimaginable catastrophe. Therefore, to save yourself and for the sake of all mankind, we need to divert our attention towards God Almighty and need to develop our relationships with the living God. He also says, above all, it's necessary that the world recognizes that it has forgotten its creator and that it needs to return to its creator, and that this is the only way that can help establish real peace, and that without this, there can no guarantee of having peace. Al-Fazl International, 5 December 2014, at page 15. Wa akhiru dawani alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakumullah, Brother Huju. This is hey, then the bar. Brother Huju, I think this is a very important topic. If time is given, you spend the whole day. Peace is paramount to our coexistence. That is why, right from the essence of this program, everybody talks around peace. And they will keep on praying. And now it's a mantra that our beloved Imam moves with everywhere he goes. We thank you very much. Let's make progress. We have an Urdu poem to be delivered by Shahid Akom Sahib of, he's the regional secretary for publication, and then, yes, general secretary, regional general and publication for, I think that's it's not general secretary, it's regional general and publication secretary. Yes, I think it's from KwaZulu. Mashallah. It's your area for you. I thought. Okay. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Manzoom Kalam Sayyidina Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Rabi Rahimahullah Ta'ala.
Amen.
Zahuri Khairul Anbiya Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Ikrat mafasid ki wo tira utarayi jo noor ki हर मशअल ज़ुल्मात पे वार आए जो کی ہر مشعل ظلمات غار آئی تب عرش معلا سے ایک نور کا تخت اترا تب عرش معلا سے ایک نور کا تخت اترا ایک فوج فرشتوں کی ہمراہ سوار آئی وہ پاک محمد ہے ہم سب کا حبیب آقا وہ پاک محمد ہے ہم سب کا حبیب آقا انوار رسالت ہے جس کی چمن آرائی دن رات درود اس پر ہر ادنا غلام سکا دن رات درود اس پر ہر ادنا غلام سکا بڑھتا ہے بصد منت جپتے ہوئے نام اس کا نبیوں کا امام آیا اللہ امام اس کا نبیوں کا امام آیا اللہ امام اس کا سب تختوں سے اونچا ہے تخت عالی مقام اس کا سب تختوں se ऊंचा है तख्त आली मुकाम सका
Jazakumullah. Jazakumullah. Nare Takbir. Veru. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Ji. A very emotional poem recited by Shahid. We will call on the Qasim Sahib to give us the English translation. He is from Western Cape Circuit, Jamaat. Qasim ABIODUN.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is the English translation of the Urdu poem written by the Caliph Masih IV, Rahimallahu alayhi, Ashrad Misra Tahir Ahmad. The English translation of the poem is the advent of the best of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There befell a pitch dark night, teemed with sins and chaos. That sacrificed every source of light on the altar of darkness. Then from the celestial recesses of heaven, there descended a throne of light. Along came a mounted army of angels. He is the only one, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our beloved master. The light of his message is the beauty of our word. Every humble servant of his invokes salutation to him during the day and night, with humility, after often chanting his name. The chief of the prophet has come. Allah is his chieftain. His lofty throne is the loftiest of all. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah. Let's make progress. We are on our 12th page, which is about the last speech of this program. And that is to be delivered by the chairman, Humanity First, in the person of Dr. ABDULATIEF SONIBARE Sahib from which circuit? Western Cape Circuit. Dr. ABDULATIEF. MashaAllah.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Mr. Chairman of the occasion, our honorary guest of honor, Amrisa from Ghana, and also our national president, Ahmadiyya, South Africa, MAULVI and South. On behalf of Humanity First South Africa, I would like to first give a word of acknowledgement to the Jalsa Planning Committee for finding it out of their wisdom to include presentation of report of Humanity First at this particular Jalsa, the 56th Jalsa Salana of Ahmadiyya, South Africa. So to begin my speech, I don't actually have a written speech, but I like to speak from my mind, from my heart, how I feel about the program. So to start with, I would like to start about who we are as Humanity First. Who we are as Humanity First. Humanity First is a non-political, non-religious, impartial, international relief and development agency that focuses on protecting human life and dignity. Humanity First provides aid on the basis of necessity alone, irrespective of caste, creed, color, or religion. Our mission is to serve socially disadvantaged individuals and families in the poorer communities and disaster-struck areas of the world. Humanity First aims to offer sustainable development solutions to society while providing and empowering local communities the resources to help themselves. We promote peace and understanding based on mutual respect and acceptance. Through advocacy, emergency responses, and efficient programming, Humanity First prioritizes the health and safety of those most vulnerable. So with that, I will then move to when Humanity First was established. Humanity First was established under the instruction and guidance of our beloved fourth Khalifa, Radiyallahu Anhu, late Asrat Mirza Toyir Ahmed, Radiyallahu Anhu. Under his guidance in 1995, Humanity First was established in response to the war in Eastern Europe. And from that to date, Humanity First has expanded into a global humanitarian relief organization, similar to what we call the Red Cross and other relief that are well recognized under a United Nations Charter. So with that, currently we have 8 global projects as Humanity First. And what are these projects? The first of them is what we call disaster relief. The second is food security project. The third is water for life. We also have knowledge for life, community care, orphan care, global health, and as well as gift of sight. So these are the 8 cardinal projects on which Humanity First is providing humanitarian aid to vulnerable people all over the world. So it means that if you look at the date Humanity First was established, that was in 1995. Humanity First South Africa was established in the year 2020, June, to be precise, yeah, of 2020. That means that Humanity First South Africa was established on the 25th anniversary of the existence of Humanity First operations globally. So we are actually proud to be part of that. And I would like to also read from the article published by Humanity First International. That is a month after the establishment of Humanity First South Africa. So let me try to read from that article. So the article says it was published in July 19, 2020. That's a month after the establishment of Humanity First South Africa. The article says, the title, New Operation in South Africa. I'm starting the quote. How appropriate, on Mandela Day 2020, our newest registered operation in South Africa began work. 426 meals were provided in 3 cities, Cape Town, Durban, and Johannesburg. The COVID-19 situation is worsening in the country, with 350,000 cases reported and almost 5,000 deaths. Humanity First is planning to continue running soup kitchens as well as distribution of face masks and hand sanitizer. End of quote of that particular article. This is just to tell you, I'm here to give report that barely a month of our establishment of Humanity First South Africa, we were able to feature in the article of Humanity First International as the only country in Africa. And previously, with respect to our chairperson, Farouk Saab, Mr. Farouk Saab, who is the chairman of Humanity First Ghana. I'm sure they've been assistant many years before us. But at least we were in several meetings together, and you could also hear from our chairman, the chairman of Humanity First International, making reference to a new operation in South Africa already providing relief to humanitarian need. And I would say with pride, I would say that the relief that we first provided were actually contributed by the volunteers of Humanity First. Who are these volunteers? Directly the directors of Humanity First. So in South Africa, we have our structure, we have board of trustees, and we also have the executive boards. So with the board of trustees and the executive board, we are 10 members. So with this first particular project on Mandela Day of 2020, the contribution was provided directly by the board of trustees and the executive board. So the first project we'll be doing as Humanity First South Africa was actually provided by funds contributed by board of trustees as well as the executive board. So that is just to give perspective to how we've been running our project. So after that, what we have been doing from that time up till now is to begin to get donors or donations, from our parent body, in this case, Humanity First International, and also donors from the general public. So when I say the general public, in this case, I'm actually referring to the members of Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat South Africa. Our largest, the largest base of donors that we have as Humanity First South Africa is the members of Humanity First South Africa. Thereafter, we then have the friends and families of members of our Jamaat. We also have people also from the larger community. So that is that. So I will then, after this, I would like to then swiftly move into the impact. I don't want to call it achievement, okay? Because we all know that we are actually responding to the call of our faith as directed by Almighty Allah under the guidance of the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and also the promised Messiah ﷺ, which carried forward by the Islam of Khilafat. So it means that our mission, I don't see it as a sort of achievement, just like our guest of honor said yesterday. The essence of our being is sacrifice. Whatever you have, whatever is your level of intellect, your wealth, everything we have is to give service to humanity. So this is the way I see Humanity First, and this is where I see Humanity First South Africa in terms of our operations. So globally, up to date, Humanity First has been able, as a global humanitarian body, has been able to impacted almost 10 million beneficiaries globally. And I would like to pick two out of this. The first is disaster relief. As we all know currently, we had the issue of very devastating humanitarian crisis in Syria as well as in Turkey. Currently, Humanity First branches in Europe, they are still responding to that. So if you look at the level of disaster relief beneficiary when it comes to disaster relief, we have over 2 million beneficiaries of disaster relief aids from Humanity First. Food securities, as we all know, the whole world, one of our contemporary, the issues we are battling with as humanity is poverty, and resulting from that is hunger. So on that front, we've been able to impacted 2.5 million beneficiaries in 58 countries across the globe. And when it comes to Water for Life, we've impacted 4.5 million beneficiaries through provision of 3,622 water wells, or what we call a groundwater borehole. Now, let's come home. Coming home means that let's come to South Africa. What have we done since our establishment in 2020 up to 2022, or let's say up to the first quarter of this year? We, as Humanity for South Africa, like I said, our flagship project in 2020, where we could immediately start operation, because we were registered in the midst of hard lockdown all over the world. So the only project that, out of all the projects of Humanity First, which about 8 of them I mentioned earlier, we could only swiftly respond to food security issues. Because as we all know, during COVID situation, a lot of people in South Africa, as we all know already, South Africa, from the speech by Tori Saab on the inequality we have in our society, we all know that already South Africa is suffering from inequalities, poverty, and COVID situation just made it worse by moving millions of people as well into below the poverty line. So with this, we responded on food security by providing food parcels, warm meals to vulnerable families across South Africa. Not just in the Western Cape, where we have the strongest base of our volunteers. We also managed, through the support of the members of Jamaat, to move the provision of our aid into the Eastern Cape, into KwaZulu-Natal, and even into the northernmost part of South Africa, which is Limpopo.
Allahu Akbar.
So if you say that, you could say that we've been able, as Humanity for South Africa, provide humanitarian aids from the southernmost part of South Africa, moving into the northernmost part of South Africa. So on food security alone, we've been able to impact, I would say, if I want to be precise on the numbers, 9,585 beneficiaries. This across vulnerable families in 26 locations across South Africa. For disaster relief, or what we call emergency relief assistance, we've been able to take part or deliver 4 projects. And out of these 4, I will mention them quickly. The first one is the project around the COVID itself, okay? And then the second one was the fire at Masiphumelele. We all know in Cape Town, Masiphumelele is a township location where people live in informal settlements, in thousands of people. And there was this fire incident, and Humanity for South Africa too, we were able to respond to that. After that, we had the fire incident at the prestigious University of Cape Town, the fire incident at the library. We responded as well, our volunteers responded to support the firefighters with needs like water and also other necessary non-perishable food items that could support them while they were trying their best to quench the fire at the library. And the last one on disaster relief efforts was the response to the flooding event in Durban, that is in KwaZulu-Natal. We all know the effect of climate change globally is the fact that we have flooding of the hinterland. And Durban, not only Durban, most part of Africa, of South Africa, they are not exempted from this kind of what we call regular flooding because of the effect of climate change. We respond to that in Durban. For Durban, we provided food items, to support families that were displaced. These families were put in temporary camps, in more than 20 temporary camps in Etekwini municipality. And not only the food items, we also provided them with water and also with sanitary pads to ensure that the young girls could still maintain their personal hygiene while they are still living in these temporary camps. And the last of our projects that I'm proud to report to you about is the Water for Life. The Water for Life is a project that we conceived in 2021. And in 2022, with the support of our development partner, Humanity First Netherlands, we managed to conduct assessments of which community or which province in South Africa should we decide upon when it comes to the provision of the first Water for Life project for Humanity South Africa. So we decided on Limpopo after deliberations. After 5 communities selected, we decided that we're going to provide community water bowls or groundwater bowl to 4 communities. So these communities are located in Vendaland, Vembe District Municipality, Makado local government in the Limpopo province. This bowl is going to benefit 21,000 residents of those 4 communities. We have been able to conclude the drilling of the 4 bowls. At the stage we are now is at the stage of completion, so that we can then move to commissioning. So I would say on the basis of these are the 3 major areas just for you to take as a take home on food security, disaster relief, and water for life is where we have been able to, since 2020 up to now, as Humanity First, to have projects. And if you go to our exhibition at the back of the Jalsa, you will see that you can go there to get further details if you have time tonight, today being our last day of the event. So looking forward, what do we plan to do as Humanity First? Looking forward, we want to be able to further coordinate our disaster relief response. So with this, our plan is to acquire a vehicle that will make us to respond swiftly and more, quickly to emergency situation. So with this, we are launching, we are not just launched, we launched it last year, whereby we put in our budget that we are going to be purchasing a vehicle for disaster relief response. And it is my honor to announce to you that we received a donation from a Latino member. Okay, it's a big, I would say it's our biggest single donation since the beginning of Humanity First, from any single donor. We received a donation from a Latino member towards this vehicle, and I would still like to ask you to further consider if you have any donation you want to make. We really want to acquire this vehicle that we can use as well to respond almost immediately anywhere in South Africa to emergency situation. The second, looking forward, like I said, is the commissioning of Water for Life, making it ready-made for people in those communities in Limpopo to start using this bowl, and also to extend this further to different parts of South Africa. Especially, we've been receiving requests of water issues, water challenges in Eastern Cape, as well as in Northern Cape, and also in Mpumalanga. With the support of Humanity First International, they are aware of this, and they are also ready to support us in this regard. For sure, we are still going to continue our food security. We can re-strategize, but food security, looking at the situation of human situation globally, definitely we know that we have a lot of people, they are still not able to fend for themselves. They still wallowing in hunger and poverty that will still need assistance. So we're still going to continue our effort by providing warm meals. Is our decision that maybe we can strategize. Instead of giving food parcels, we could stick to provision of warm meals through mobile kitchens. And I've written the proposal to Humanity First International, and they are willing to support these ideas of mobile kitchen, whereby we can move from one place to another to provide warm meals to directly to vulnerable families and the needy or the homeless in our society. So with that, I will move to the last part of my speech, which is what I will call in conclusion. So in conclusion, I hope I'm still good with time, Chairman.
No, you don't have.
Exactly. So
I don't want to look biased.
okay, good. So in conclusion, I have two important aspects to do, which is first to express our utmost gratitude to you, the members of Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat South Africa, for your support, for your generous donations from day one that Humanity for South Africa was established. And up to date, you are still supporting. This I've never seen in any form of, okay, I don't want to say what I don't have, but at least with the Jamaat that I've been part of. This is the Jamaat that is so small in size, with a lot of responsibility of Jamaat itself in terms of what needs to be, or different obligations to be made, financially, morally, in kind, and being everywhere. And still find within themselves to respond to this call. That every time really, really stand out for me as Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat South Africa. And we should be proud of this. Okay, we should be proud, and may Almighty Allah reward all of you abundantly. May Almighty Allah reward all of you abundantly. That's what I would say, inshallah. We are going to reward you abundantly. And the last part is that we have a small gift as we are expressing thanks to the Jamaat of South Africa. I would like to permit Mr. Chairperson, to present a gift to our national president, Murabi Saab, on behalf of executive directors and all volunteers of Humanity First. We are presenting to him because he is the leader of Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat South Africa, in our gratitude and appreciation of all the efforts of Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat members of South Africa. We are presenting this to him. Murabi Saab.
Allahu Akbar. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
So in closing, I would also like to thank all our collaborators, the Interfaith Initiative of Cape Town. They've also been part of, they've been aware of our efforts, and they've been also sometimes come to our programs and offer collaborations. And other NGOs that we have in Kailisha, like PEMBELE, they've also been supporting us, even another organization called MOLU as well. They've been supporting us. And we also have a couple as well in Durban. So we'd like to thank all these various organizations. And going forward, our plan is to collaborate more with all these NGOs. So this is my last part of my speech. Thank you all for listening to me. Wa alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much, Chairman Saab. Though Humanity First South Africa very young, but from the from the report that Chairman Saab has delivered, you are doing very, very well. As he rightly said, beyond that, your name pops up many a times when we are on our Zoom discussions. Humanity First Chairman International mentions your country a lot. And I think that from the start, from the way you started, I think you go places. As he rightly said, Humanity First contribution comes from the Jamaat members largely, So you think that from this angle, we will have to try as much as possible to help to move to oil humanity first South Africa. Nobody is coming from anywhere to help humanity first South Africa. In other towns, countries like ours, we are old, and sometimes we are able to reach out to other organizations like the banks, institutions, which comes to our aid once in a while to help us move some of this our departments, especially when it comes to food security or under community care. I think that Chairman sir will have to also move out of the Jamaat also to see if he can fall on some of this organization, especially South Africa had some of these big organizations because it has come from the origin of the whites. So I think the report was very, very detailed, and then you've done quite well, especially as you said, right from just a few members, and it's going to be extended to the larger body. You can hear that a larger number have contributed largely for the contribution of the car for mobility. So on this note, I will bring this session. My chairman was the last speaker, my friend.
for the good work they've brought to bear on the organization of the Jalsa, which obviously contributed to a large extent in the success of the Jalsa. I particularly am also very grateful to the various speakers, as well as those who recited the Quran, as well as those who recited the poems, including those who did the translations. It was a very good effort, and happily, it was within the confines of the traditions of Jamaat Ahmadiyya worldwide, and that, therefore, was a plus. I'm grateful also to all members of this community for the sense of commitment, for the love and affection that you have for this Jamaat. And throughout these 3 days of the Jalsa, I've noticed that each and every face that I saw as a member of the Jamaat participating in this Jalsa right from the first day made every effort to be present throughout the 3 days, and to a large extent attended all the sessions. This also, for me, is a plus. Salat was regularly said, and apart from the regular Salat, Tahajjud was also a regular feature of this Jalsa, which indeed is very, very encouraging. In order to make it possible for us to have successful sessions, to start and close good time enough, and for us to be able to say Salat correctly, it was necessary for us to be able to have our meals at the appropriate times. Those responsible for feeding us, they did their best and ensured we had meals on time, and we had enough of the meals, and rich meals for that matter. And I believe each and every one of us ate to the capacity of his stomach. Very many of us, I don't know, because I don't see inside your cars when you are going, but the possibility is that there were some takeaways, which is not forbidden. If you eat from the langar of Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salatu wasalam, and for any reason, any member of your family is not here, you would still wish that that member of the family tastes that food from the langar of Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salatu wasalam, because of the blessings that there is in it. So I want to say a big thank you also to those people who prepared the food and made sure that it reached here on time, and made sure that we had it on time and we ate, and ate well. In general, I want to congratulate all of you for a successful Jalsa. It looks like you've taken some of us by surprise, because I least expected the attendance that I can see before me. I expected a much smaller attendance, but here we are, quite a good attendance, which I appreciate, and it is encouraging. It is encouraging because there has been a break in the organization of the Jalsas because of the COVID intervention. And once you do away with a practice, it becomes quite a challenge to marshal forces to go back to pick and do it again correctly. Therefore, it always, after a break, takes a lot of time for build-up. But here we are, even though I do not know what the capacity or strength of your previous Jalsas have been, but the fact that you've estimated number of seats for this Jalsa, and I've seen that the seats are always occupied, I would want to believe that you really received the expected numbers and that you've not been let down. I'm talking of the organizers, you've not been let down by members of the Jamaat who are expected to attend the Jalsa. This does not mean that we've done it all. It only means that we are on course. And since we are on course, if we put our act together and continue to put our act together, we will get there. That there is when, in the very few years ahead of us, this hall will be seen to be full and overflowing by only men participants at the Jalsa, while some other adjacent seating arrangement equally larger, if not double. This one is provided for the ladies as well. That is the expectation, and that indeed is the true culture of Jamaat Ahmadiyya. What we know is moving forward. There is no reverse gear in that vehicle which is known as Jamaat Ahmadiyya. All its gears moving. The speed is what makes the difference. It's therefore my hope and my prayer that subsequent Jalsas will be patronized by larger, greater numbers of Ahmadi Muslims in South Africa than we have now. It's obvious, but it's not each and every member of the Jamaat in South Africa has been able to make it here today. If you consider the distances and the challenges, it becomes obvious that these things may happen. But all the same, as members of Jamaat Ahmadiyya, and given the importance of the Jalsa and the important role that it plays in the lives of each and every one of us, we would hope and pray that all those brethren who have not been able to attend this year, they will be able to find the strength and the conviction and the faith, the driving force behind their faith to be able to attend all other subsequent Jalsas. Very many others were there who wished to be here, but for health reasons, they were not able to make it to this Jalsa. Those are people who had genuine health challenges.
And we owe them the duty of remembering them in our prayers, that Allah grant them sound health. There are others, yet others too, who have health challenges of a particular type. Those challenges had to do with their faith. They are sick of faith. Their faith has dwindled to a large extent. This group of persons are not that many among us, but it's not to run away from the fact that we have a few of them. Their sickness is of a different nature. It's more spiritual, but it is a sickness all the same, and they need a cure. Since Allah Ta'ala is a cure, we also equally need to pray to the Almighty Allah. Grant them is much younger compared to the South Africa Jamaat. But for obvious reasons, if there are recent Jalsa which I attended some 2-3 months back, is anything to go by, then one would say that the progress that they are making is much greater than what we are making in South Africa now. As against the fact that we are more material, we are better materially endowed than our brethren of Zimbabwe. Because the attendance of the Zimbabwe Jalsa about 2-3 times equal or more to the attendance of this Jalsa which we are about to conclude. Yes, circumstances in South Africa and that of Zimbabwe may not be the same. That of South Africa may be more complex. But whatever the complexity, whatever the hardness of the wall, no matter what metal is used to build the wall, it is nothing compared to the strength and the force with which the message of Jamaat Ahmadiyya moves. It can break through the hardest walls. The effort, only the effort has to be made with prayers to the Almighty Allah behind it. I want to urge you on, therefore, to cast your net further and wider. And if you do, you will catch a lot of fishes to Jamaat Ahmadiyya. On this note, I'd want to say my personal thank you from me and Alhaji Farouk, the chairman of For Humanity Ghana, who came along with me. I want to say thank you, Jazakumullah Ahsan al-Jazaa, to all of you for the brotherly love and affection that you've shown us since the day we arrived here, right from the airport up to now. And I believe it will continue until the day that we leave here, inshallah. We are very, very grateful. And we can see signs of a lot of progress here in South Africa because we could feel the enthusiasm. And with that enthusiasm and the maintenance of that rhythm, which is the rhythm that is there now, our beat can certainly be enhanced. And with its enhancement, we are bound to make progress. What Jamaat Ahmadiyya inherits throughout the world is progress. We only have to make the effort. That is what God has promised us, that the remaining is left for Him. Ours is to make the effort. And if we do, and I believe that we are poised to make the effort, if we do, therefore, those elders of the Jamaat who established this South Africa Jamaat on the day of judgment, they were very grateful to us. And having mentioned them, it is our duty, as we've met today, for this Jalsa, after a break of a number of years because of the COVID. It is our duty to remember those members of this community who have since passed on between our last Jalsa and this one, as well as those who passed on in the very many years past, and particularly those elders of the Jamaat who laid the foundation, who sowed the seed of Jamaat Ahmadiyya in South Africa, those who watered that seed, those who nurtured that seed, which grew into a plant, those who took care of it and watered it regularly and saw to the growth, manured it sufficiently until today we, as we sit here, that tree is a fruit-bearing tree. We are enjoying the fruits of that tree. We owe them gratitude. We owe them prayers. So let each and every one of us remember each and every one of them and pray for them, man or woman, adult or child, that the Almighty Allah may grant each and every one of them a lofty place in heaven. And that may He grant us to the ability to contribute our quota to enhance and accelerate the effort that they have made, such that on the day of judgment, we'll meet them and they will also meet us with smiling faces. Jazakumullah ahsanul jaza. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Before that, I forgot, I would want to remind brethren also that we particularly pay attention to prayers for our brethren in Pakistan. As we have our freedom to move about, to the extent that we are organizing and we have organized successful Jalsa, and to the extent that we've invited government officials, and they have attended this Jalsa and shared very kind words with us. We need to remember our brethren back there in Pakistan for the fact that they do not have the slightest iota of freedom of worship in Pakistan. Their lives are at stake. Each and every Ahmadi Muslim living in Pakistan today, his or her life is at stake. So far, it's the mercies of the Almighty Allah that has kept them on. And the conviction of heart, the firm faith in a living God is what has kept them living. With the expectation that that day sooner will dawn. They are under a real hardship. They are under persecution of every kind. I'm talking of organized governmental persecution. It's what they are going through. And we, therefore, must remember them. Let us not forget the millions of Ahmadi Muslims who live in Pakistan alone. Let us not forget what the forebears of these people, the sacrifices they made to bring Ahmadiyya to us in this our part of the world. For their great-grandchildren to start suffering and be persecuted in this 21st, getting to 22nd century, with the world looking at us without doing anything about it. We have a living God who can do everything about it. There is nothing God cannot do about it. We only have to supplicate to him. And if we do, I can assure you, and you can assure yourself, that sooner our brethren will also have their freedom to practice and worship their Creator without any hindrance whatsoever. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. We are thankful to Allah the Almighty that He has given chance to gather here for 3 days. We have listened many people's, friends, members and others. I was thinking that I will make some comments, but after I made some comments, I thought no comment again.
You called for it.
Because whatever I wanted to say, mostly he has said it, so it's okay. The only thing which I want to tell Amisha is that by the grace of Allah, the attendance is more than 175, which is recorded by the Google, what is that? Google page, Google form, yes, it is a form, yes. So it's a very,
Number of participants.
yes, very accurate. This. As we are sitting here, in front of us is only the men, but we can't count the ladies, and ladies are always more than the men. So that is the one thing which I want to say. The second thing is the.
No.
Sorry. The second thing is, I'm very thankful to Amir Sahib that with his numerous activities, duties, he, upon our request to Huzur, he came here, he sit down with us, and inshallah he will be here couple of another days. Anybody among you want to see Amir Sahib privately, there is no problem, okay? So you just have to let me know, then I will see the time, appropriate time for you. Some people have already visited Amir Sahib, others if they want to visit, let me know. Although we have some other issues to handle, take him to show him certain things and they are preparing for that. But still, since Amir Sahib has come to see you people, and many of you have a wish to greet him, to talk to him, to listen from him, so there is no problem. There is a request from some of the members that we should have a group picture. Sometimes we have group picture in after Jalsa. So I will request the organizer, they should organize, but before we will have a silent prayer, and after that I will request our Ghanian brothers to come for the song of praise. As they were having a song of praise, you people will organize the way the organizer will tell you, okay? No rush. Let them organize the way they will call you, where you stand or you sit, do that way, okay? I will request Amir Sahib to please lead us in a silent prayer and close.
Before I lead with the silent prayer, would also would rather humbly request every child, male or female, who has attended this Jalsa to come forward and collect a small piece of chocolate, Ghanaian chocolate, which we have brought for at least, no, not now, no, hold on, take it easy. That's local Ghanaian chocolate. It's not for the elders, even though it is good for them too.
Yes.
Maybe next time we'll make sure we'll bring enough.
Inshallah.
Once we can somehow estimate your numbers, we should be able to organize and organize better. But I can assure you that we have enough to be able to take care of every child, male or female. And expectantly, apart from the children, maybe also every woman, every Lajna member who has come for this Jalsa, inshallah.
ऐसे करते हैं कि बच्चों को ना यहाँ से बुलाते हैं और उधर से उतर देते हैं।
ठीक है, वो अभी ले ले फिर दुआ से पहले।
एग्जैक्टली। वो बच्चे यहाँ से आएंगे, इससे उधर के उतर नीचे जाएंगे, फिर लजना वाले बच्चे जाएंगे, नासत उधर से आएंगी।
ठीक है, फिर खड़े ना अभी ले देंगे। You bring it and open it. All that then the dua. After that we say dua. Okay. Yes. Yeah. How many boxes are? How many are left? Is there
This one, that is another one, another believe. That's a small type.
That would rather be enough for the this. How many? 2 packets in one?
3 packets.
No. Okay, well, let's send 2 to them. If everybody doesn't get, open this one too. Open this one too.
How much I have idea about the ladies?
Yes, open it. We're in the downtown.
No.
No. Need that. Bring another pocket. This one, open this part to hand. Bring it. Bring a hand. Right. What is none of the small ones?
You will to know the number.
Cut this one. Here. Go and give to the Nazm.
शुगर लग जाता है
नहीं काफी है क्योंकि ये छोटे हैं वो हाँ ये हाँ 1 2 3 4 5 okay 5 singles no the small ones for the large ones they're not big like this the small ones 5 okay. And then the officer Jalsa Salana. We have a Jalsa committee. Who is the officer Jalsa Salana? I think we can give the officer Jalsa Salana and the Jalsa committee members one each. Who is the officer Jalsa Salana and the officer Jalsa Gatu is there? Yeah. It is the same. The same? No, but he can take it. How many are you? You don't know your number. The Jalsa committee members.
The committee members is about, probably about 10 maybe.
About 10.
Is it more than 10? Probably, yeah. Not sure what it is. Just see.
2,
More than 10, maybe 15, yeah.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
How many?
Is there anything here? No. In any case, so then you take this and then share it among them.
20 participants, yeah.
20. This one is broken. हाँ जी क्या फिर कैसे देंगे क्या can we give it on ये देखो हो रहा है साहिब check with I'm also watching उसके लड़का है उसके पूरे पीछे We'll keep some for him to come and take. Yes. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Please, kindly join me in a silent prayer. If you can all join me, it is good. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Amin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Sounds of prayer.
A young boy sent a message, a WhatsApp just now from Johannesburg that he's also watching. So I must send his chocolate. But I don't know whether chocolate can be sent through WhatsApp. So songs of praise.
Songs of praise.
Songs of praise and also prepare for the picture.
Rahman cannot do anything.
No,
He hasn't got the voice to sing.
Abubakar will do. Abubakar and
Rahman cannot sing anything.
Abdullah, Abubakar and Ismail will do. Meanwhile,
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad wa barik wa salim.
Amen.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad wa barik wa salim.
Amen.
La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah.
La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah
Muhammadur Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah. Muhammadur Rasulullah. There is none worthy of worship except Allah. Muhammadur Rasulullah is the messenger. La ilaha illallah. Muhammadur Rasulullah. Lil alamina, lil alamina, lil alamina. Muhammadur Rasulullah, Suraj Munir, Suraj Munir, lil alamina. Muhammadur Rasulullah, Suraj Munir, Suraj Munir, lil alamina. He was sent for entered mankind, Suraj Munir, Suraj Munir, lil alamina. He is the light of this world, Suraj Munir, Suraj Munir, lil alamina. Lil alamina, lil alamina, lil alamina. Allahumma, 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 alhamdulillah, Allahumma, alhamdulillah, Allahumma, alhamdulillah, Allahumma, alhamdulillah, Allahumma, 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 Allahumma. We seek Allah's blessing, we seek Allah's blessing for anti-Jamaat, for anti-Jamaat, for Pakistan Jamaat, for Ghana Jamaat, for South Africa Jamaat, for Landi Jamaat, for Khalifatul Masih, Khalifatul Khamis, Khalifatul Khamis, Allahumma, 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 Allahumma. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma amin. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Allahumma amin. Maliki Yawmiddin. Allahumma amin. Iyyaka na'budu. Allahumma amin. Wa iyyaka nasta'in. Allahumma amin. اهدنا صراط اللهم آمين صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم اللهم آمين غير المغضوب اللهم آمين غير المغضوب ولا ضالين اللهم آمين غير المغضوب ولا ضالين اللهم آمين ألم ترى كيف فعل ربك اللهم آمين ألم ترى كيف فعل ربك اللهم آمين اللهم 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 آمين Takbir! Takbir! Ahmad Muhammad Mustafa! Rasul Karim Mustafa! Ghulam Ahmad ki! Ghulam Ahmad ki! Jamaat Ahmadiyya South Africa! Takbir!
Assalamualaikum. Nare Takbir! Nare Takbir! Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa! Ghulam Ahmad ki! Khilafat Ahmadiyya! Hazrat Amirul Mu'minin! Hazrat Khalifatul Masih al-Hamis! Rasul Karim Mustafa! Allah Takbir! Nare Takbir!